Yeah, my name's Steve Ratomski. I'm a painter and printmaker and I'm based in Dunfermline. I have a studio space within my house and I also edition prints at Fife Dunfermline Printmakers Workshop. Well, I get the newsletters which come through from FCA&C and that alerted me to the possibility, and although time was quite short, I had a particular project in mind that I couldn't fund myself, and I thought, well, this gives me an opportunity to see if it would be possible to get funding, and in fact I ended up getting sufficient of the funding that made it viable. I suppose the process was really straightforward in the sense that I did most of it on computer, and it forced me to think about the project and how to put into words an explanation of what I was trying to achieve. So that was useful. I have to say, as an artist, filling out forms on a computer wasn't necessarily the most natural thing in the world, but it was perfectly reasonable and just took a little bit of tender loving care and attention. I received the grant around December of 2011, and I had applied for a grant to have a residency at Hospitalfield Arts Centre near Arbroath for the month of May. I had particularly felt that it was relevant to the kind of work that I do, which is based on landscape, colour and light, that I be in the studios and have the facilities at Arbroath in May. The other attraction for me about Hospitalfield was that it was such an international place, and there were artists, for example, from Illinois who were there during my time, an artist also from Fife but whom I didn't know called Susie Winton, and there were photography classes where a range of Scottish photographers were in, and the discussions were fairly lively. Not only that, you have purpose-built studios, you have wonderful walled gardens and a very stimulating environment. The large house itself has a library with art books. It's specifically designed for artists, so it was an opportunity for me to be working full-time on my artwork without distractions. That may sound as if I don't work full-time here, but there are natural breaks which occur, so the chance to be in a different environment and totally focused was really the bonus part out of it. I had planned to work the way I normally do. I work gathering sketches, information and taking photographs, and I then was back in the studio, and because I had access to a very large studio, I was able to have several large pieces of work on the go at one time. And also the way I normally work is that I work small sketches up to what I would call small paintings, and I carried out about, well, certainly in excess of 30 small paintings during my period there, and about 6 large paintings. In addition to that, I had access to the Kilpurney print studio, which is on the premises, and by working 3 single days without interruption, produced a suite of 15 monoprints, which related to the same work. Well, absolutely. There are several strands to this. The month that I've just talked about, not only was I determined to be physically working on my technique, the important thing that it gave me was the ability to sit back and revise my technique and how I was approaching things. And that period of calm thinking is still having its effect now. But the work that I'm doing has all been developed from the thought processes and the slight changes that I made to technique and how I was approaching things. One of the things that I was wrestling with was working on a larger scale and becoming comfortable with that. And the opportunity to reassess what I was doing then allowed me to, as I would describe it, kind of kick on. And what I'm doing now, both in printmaking, relates to the influence that the landscape had. Although I work in an abstract form, all of the work that I produce is very much related to and influenced by landscape. And so visiting places around Arbroath, such as Auchmithie, Colliston, and just the area of the gardens round Hostelfield itself meant that I've got a really large memory bank of work, both in sketchbook form and small colour studies, that I'm still working from.